Hey everybody, Mike Rhyner of Your Dark Companion here to talk to you about Al Maximo. Football, soccer, F1, they are our Spanish language show. It features Victor Villalba, the Spanish voice of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks, and Carlos Nava, ESPN Deportes reporter of NFL, MLB, NBA, boxing, and soccer. They give the majority's look at sports and all that implies. They are Al Maximo. Check them out at patreon.com/Sunset Lounge DFW.
Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk.
Baseball. Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
The Texas Rangers win the World Series.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off session.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Well, hi, howdy, and ring-a-ding-ding, boys and girls. It is another episode of Your Dark Companion. It's a wonderful day today here in the D. It's not too hot. We've managed to evade big heat so far here in early July. It is the 7th of July. I must start things by sending a shout out to my father, Howard, who on this day, had he made it thus far, would have been 108. But he didn't make it this far, unfortunately. But yes, it would have been his birthday today. Anyway, I'm Mike Rhyner. We are here inside the nurturing biosphere of the mothership. Shoopy is here. Ashley is here. Becca is here. And today, we have one of the most unusual cats that I met in my time in the game. A guy that is just an amazing conversationalist and just a really, really interesting guy. A guy that I always loved talking to up at the radio station when we were both there. He was over there doing his thing on the music stations. I was there doing mine, and occasionally we would run into each other and get into a conversation. Sometimes we'd be out and run into each other and get into conversations, and I would always come away going, man, I really like that guy. That is a cool cat. And he has deigned to join little YDC today. He is Scott Strong.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for inviting me. It's very mutual. Now I feel a lot of pressure after that intro.
Yeah, this better be good.
Yeah, I know.
You just be you, and everything will be okay.
You got it.
All right, let's go back through our history here, and then we'll get into exactly what it is you do now. Let's start with that.
Okay, I met you when I came to work at a radio station called The Merge. It was at 93.3. It was the Zone, and I was a consultant for the Zone, and they said, hey, we want to change this up because there's this new thing called, or recent called the Internet, and we're going to try to hook up the Internet and radio together. There was a gentleman by the name of Brian Phillips who was running some stations in Susquehanna, and he had this idea of like, back in the day, before the merge, if somebody called, you'd pick it up on the phone and say, oh, what would you like to hear? Well, what the merge was going to do was have people called web jammers.
Yeah.
And the web jammers, and we had Michelle 3000, we had Moby Lookalike, we had Drunk Guy, eventually we had Spicoli, we can get into that later. But it was all connected together, and it was fascinating to me. Plus, there was a person that I consulted in KFOG in San Francisco that was coming to be GM. So I'm ready. We're excited. My wife and I came to Dallas. We weren't sure. We knew Dallas from the TV show Dallas. And so
like everybody else.
So we were kind of concerned, but there was a gentleman by the name of Dan Hallenburton who worked at the radio stations, and he took us right to this area that we loved completely. It was just unbelievable. So we moved here, got on with the merge, and the problem or the challenge with the merge was too far ahead of itself. Music was great, but people weren't ready to like, what's a freaking web jammer? What is this stuff? And it didn't connect for that reason. Also, the sales department thought they could get more money from these up and coming companies that were getting into the internet, and it was too far ahead. So fast forward a little bit, and we talked about other radio stations, and we talked about, I had a background from rock radio in St. Louis, a station called KSHE, which was a big rock station, and then WMMS in Cleveland, which is a big rock station.
Huge stations.
Yeah. So we talked about classic rock that 92.5 was putting on some syndicated stuff, and they had gotten rid of the Bo and Jim show, or were getting rid of it. So it's like, oh, this could be perfect. And then the rest is history. The Bone came on and just blew up completely. And during the time in the hallways, loved talking to the ticket guys, all of them, the stories, loved talking to them. I'll tell a couple in a moment. Groobs and Mr. Rhyner are not in these stories, so yeah.
Oh, thank God.
I made sure of that. So music-wise, it was interesting because you didn't always have music fans, but I would talk to Mike, and Mike was a music fan, and it was great because I could bring up Gamma, the band Gamma, which I'm sure anyone listening to this, there might be two people that know Gamma. Mike knew the band Gamma, knew Rockpile, went way back. Mama's Pride, a band out of St. Louis. So I loved those conversations. So we would share that, and just it meant so much because of the. Just the emotional tie, which I think radio and music should have, that these guys had it, which was special to me. So I did that, and then I saw radio. So my wife and I were trying to have a family, and we had a baby, and I wanted to focus on my family because I looked at it, whether right or wrong, the air staff were my kids. And some of the kids were controllable, some weren't controllable. So I really wanted to focus on a family. So I went into live entertainment and left radio, looking ahead. That's when Susquehanna owned the radio stations when we were there with the Ticket and the Bone and the Wolf.
And it was great.
And Susquehanna was maybe one of the, if not what, it is one of the greatest station companies I ever worked for in radio.
You ask anybody who was there when any of those stations were under Susquehanna, they will tell you, and they will tell you very quickly, that the best time in their radio days were the ones there.
Right. Yeah.
And that certainly holds true for me, too. And I've probably worked for, 5, 6 radio outfits over my time in the game. The longest time I had was there, and the best time I had was there.
It was amazing, and the people were amazing. They worked up in corporate.
Yeah, they were.
Nowadays, you're lucky to get corporate on the phone or get it. So there was a gentleman, I won't mention his name, but I would call him and say, hey, you know what? I think this song is really good, and we should add it. Even if we just do it for a couple times, I think there'll be an audience passion to it. And he wouldn't know the song, but he said, hey, if you believe in it, try it. And at times I said, I'll run it by, some of the guys like Mike or some of the guys that are really music fans. He said, go ahead and try it. Nobody does that in corporate radio at all. So yeah, It was amazing. Amazing.
It really was. Just an incredible time for everybody there. Yeah. And the thing that I always liked about Scott is he always had stories.
Well,
he had incredible stories of run-ins with that he had with musicians or other people in the music game, people on air staffs that he worked with over the years. If you wanted a story, he had one. He always had one. And we would bring him into the Ticket from time to time and put him on the air and just let him
do his thing.
Let him tell his story. I'm sorry, I laughed just thinking about it.
Well,
I mean, you're great at that, man.
It's real life. I'll start with a radio personality story, okay, at the ticket. If not my favorite, one of my favorites. So we had a GM, Dan Bennett, who was always a little nervous, okay? And I was a manager that would stay later. So I could be there 7, 8, 9 o'clock. So Dan Bennett unfairly said, hey, I need you to kind of watch the halls, make sure everything's okay, you know? It was like, okay, all right, sure. I'll do that. So once a week he would ask me. I said, it's all great. So it was one night, and I'm in my office, and the door to get to the ticket studio, you had to walk by it. So I'm there, and I see someone walk by me, and it's like, wait a minute, I know who that person is. It was Dan Haggerty, who was Grizzly Adams on TV. So it's like, okay, that's all right. Big Dick Hunter, who was on evenings, who still today, I think he's one of the most genius, underrated radio personalities there ever was. So Dan Haggerty goes in, and it's like, okay. Another guy comes in about 5 minutes later, and it's like, wait, I know who that guy is. It was Dennis Huff, the guy that owned the hooker place in Vegas. The Bunny Ranch. Yeah. So that was that. So it's like, I'm not sure what's going on, but still okay, you know? It's still all that. So then a couple minutes later, freaking Ron Jeremy walks by my office. And I go, okay, maybe I should start going here. I'm not going to tell Dan Bennett that Ron Jeremy and, you know, the guy that owns the Bunny Ranch are here. Well, but I had, you know, it was like, I'm still doing it. Then all of a sudden, the door opens. I don't see, but it was 5 little people, females, that walked by my office. And I said, oh, crap, I'm getting out of here. There is no freaking way I'm telling Dan Bennett about that. Don't know what happened. Never said I knew what it was until today. I told my wife, this is the first time I ever told that story in public.
Well, you can rest easy. I don't think anybody was none the worse for the wear on account of it.
Wait, now I want an explanation of what happened.
Well, I don't know, but it didn't. Big Dick Hunter was a genius. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I think I can say this. So my wife and I got married, and it was our first Thanksgiving with our families. Big Dick Hunter got married, and I don't know if you remember, but his wedding was at the Bunny Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
And on the invitation, it said, hey, anything is free here. So I went to Michelle, my wife, and said, hey, look, we got invited to Vegas for Big Dick's wedding. And she knew right away, going, where's he having it? And I said, the Bunny Ranch. And I said, if you want to go, you tell my parents and your parents we're not going to be there for the first Thanksgiving that we're married because we're going to the Bunny Ranch where everything's free. We didn't go.
That was too tall an order.
Yeah, no way. So can I tell a little Norm story? Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
My office was next to Norm's, okay? And I always heard about Norm, but even before I came to work here, Norm was historic. I did research of the stations, and Norm was historic. So Norm would be next door, and I would hear him place bets in the morning. He would get there so early, and I would hear him place bets because it was quiet. It was just the morning shows in their studio, him, myself in there. So he would place the bets, and I would hear. And then every couple of weeks, I'd hear him apologizing. Well, I'll get that for you. It's a little bit tight right now, all that. So he worked out a deal with me that there was, and let's just say investors. I don't know what their true names are, but his investors liked music. So I would work out getting concert tickets and give them to Norm to give to his investors if he was a little tight that month. Now, let me tell you this about Norm. Norm always appreciated it so much that Norm would give great bottles of wine to Michelle. When Zach was, I think, 4 years old, Norm got us tickets behind the fence at the Ranger Ballpark right there. And it was the coolest spot. My son Zach still remembers today that he loved the ball game, but these are his words, not mine. That Mr. Norm guy's creepy. but always wonderful. But it was funny to hear the. I'll get it for you. I promise. I'll get it for you. So.
By the way, for those who don't know yet, Just Wondering with Norm Hitzkus now available on the Sunset Lounge.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
He's joined up with us, and we are damn glad to have him. Now, you've been at the Granada for some time now, have you not?
It's been 2 years. I was doing tours around the country, and Mike Schroeder, who owns the Granada Theater, I would always go to shows there, and he said, hey, would you ever think about working here? And my son, Zach, was going to be a senior in high school, so it was like, wow, would this be perfect? Walk to work, ride my bike to work. From a music standpoint, I can go to a show. If I don't like a show, I can see what the audience is, but then I can leave. So, it's just the love of music that I can just test out. And there was a country singer by the name of Lily Rose that I'll have to tell you that I would have never checked out if, I was going to buy a ticket. So I went to the show, and it was great. So that opportunity. Now, I'm not going to mention names, but there are some shows I go into 2 songs, and I say, oh, my gosh, I'm glad I didn't buy any. Because outside of Granada, I buy all my tickets so that I keep the fan factor. Because I have a feeling that if that if I get them for free, it's just not the same. I want to know what a fan goes through each moment. But after saying that, a friend of mine couldn't go to the Willie Nelson show this last Saturday, so I did take free tickets to that. A friend gave them to me, but other than that,
you can bend your rules every now and then.
Yeah. Well, if they're going to go to waste, the friend can't go.
You don't want them to go to waste.
I don't want them to go to waste, and the Mavericks were on the bill, so I love the Mavericks.
Not the basketball team.
No, the one that has a good GM.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A sports singer.
Yeah. So you were talking about stories, and one story I remember now talking that I came in to tell you in the studio was if people remember the song Mississippi Queen. It was a famous rock song.
Leslie West.
Yes, Leslie West. He came in, and it was St. Louis, Missouri, and he played a theater kind of the size of Granada Theater, so about 1,000 folks. And my job was to pick them up in the morning at the hotel and get them to the airport. So there were 4 people in the band. Leslie West had his own room, and then the other 3 shared a room.
Now, can I just say one thing here?
Yes.
We should mention this about Leslie West.
Yes.
He was a man of size. And the big idea behind the group he was in, Mountain, was to sort of get people into the idea that here is this big, big man who was a good guitar player, could play. And he was the frontman for it. That's his big hit, Mississippi Queen there. I mean, the guy was not without talent by any means, but the thing that his I guess gimmick was the fact that he was a man of size.
Oh my gosh, and he didn't take care of himself. So during the show, he would have to stop and get oxygen, and he still ate a lot. So in his contract, he was to get $250 when he got off stage. So because I was picking Leslie West up in the morning, Charlie, who worked for the radio station, took him to the hotel. Leslie West made Charlie stop at a Quick Trip or one of those type of places, 7-Eleven, it was one of those. And he spent all $250 plus another $100 on snacks and dirty books. So Charlie didn't tell me that part when I went to pick up. But I was going to the room, and one of the other band members was outside smoking a cigarette. And he said, dude, I wouldn't go in there if I were you. And I said, well, I have to get you guys. I was trying to do my job. He goes, I'm warning you now, I would not even get close to that door. So I still had to do it. I didn't know what it meant, but I had my orders to do, to pick him up and take him to the airport to get him on time. So I knocked on the door, and there was no answer. And I knocked on the door, and I heard some sounds, but I didn't know what they were. So I opened the door because it was unlocked. And let me try to picture this for you. So look at any hotel room where you look in and you have the carpet and you have the double bed, and that's it. And a lot of open space. On the floor, everywhere, were Cheetos and Doritos and cupcakes and Zingers and Lay's potato chips and Playboy and Hustler and Penthouse and Jugs and poop. There was poop on the ground. So Leslie West had diarrhea and it just was all over the place. And so I still don't see him. So I go, Mr. West, and there was nothing. So I kind of walked. You know where the bathroom was in that place. Scared the hell out of me, but it's like, I got to get them to the airport. I am not lying that it might have been the first or second worst smell I have ever smelled in my life. And the only other smell was 101 degree Johnny in the Spot in Hawaii. When I opened it up, thousands of flies came out. But it was almost equal to the smell. It was unbelievable. He said, very politely, I will be a minute. I said to him, I'll wait for you outside. And I'll never forget that room. Every snack, nowadays you really don't see it, but there used to be a rack in 7-Eleven that would have all the magazines, like Jugs, Jugs would be here, and then Penthouse, and then Playboy, and there was Mama's Little Helper or something like that. There was, and he had every single one. So, but he's a great, the music's great. He put on a great show. He just needed to take care of himself, and he's no longer with us, so, yeah.
Man, he made it to 2020, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive. I don't. If that smell didn't kill him,
yeah.
Man. Yeah, unbelievable. The other poop story, if you guys want to hear another one,
of course.
Sure.
Okay, so this was in St. Louis, and my job was to drive Ted Nugent to the radio station. Okay, so Ted Nugent said I have to use the restroom before I go on air into the studio. So he used the restroom. And he came out and he goes, I need you to fix that. So I didn't know what that meant, but I'll go in there. Holy crap. Nothing like Leslie West poop, but it had clogged the toilet. And he used a whole thing of toilet paper, so it was all clogged up. So I had to go find a plunger. And I'm the only person I know that unplugged Ted Nugent's toilet that he just pooped so much in. And I emptied it. And when he came back out, I said to him, do you need to make a stop or anything? He goes, let's get out of here. So we got out of there. So.
Wow.
Man.
Classic stories there.
That's hilarious.
So how are things at the Granada these days? What kind of state is the live music presentation business in these days?
Live music is, there's two answers to that. Dallas-Fort Worth has never had more venues or more shows to go see. As a independent, promoter or independent, if you're not Live Nation or AEG, sometimes that's tough. You can look. So, for example, 10 years ago, shows would usually go on sale on Friday. A concert would go on sale on Friday, and there might be 10 shows that go on sale, maybe on a good week. Now an average could be 30, 40, maybe 50 shows going on sale.
Really?
Of all different, yes. Because if you think about it, I won't name them all, but just all the venues now and all the different places they're having shows, different sizes. But if you think about this, and it might sound weird, but before the pandemic, bands didn't really play Dallas and Fort Worth. They didn't play both.
Yeah.
They would do one or the other.
Right.
Well, now it is not uncommon for a Live Nation show to play somewhere in Dallas in Tannehills. So they will play both, one after another. Comedians coming in, playing 2 nights, I think it's at Majestic, and then also playing over at Dickies. So now they hit it both. So another thing with Live Nation and AEG, and hey, I would do it if I owned the company, but they're grabbing everything now. So in the past, it would be, okay, we'll just do the big ones, we'll do the pop ones. They're grabbing tribute bands now. They're grabbing podcasts now. They're grabbing unique things now, which they didn't do a few years ago. Now it's everything, which also helps that they have, Ticketmaster and all those things, so they make money off of it. The one really tough thing, and I'm only saying this because being a fan, I know how fans are tricked. You go online to buy tickets now, and there has never been so many scalper sites. It is unbelievable. If you put in a venue, you could get 5 or 6 scalper sites before it, and they all look real. Also, and again, I might do the same, but Ticketmaster is also selling tickets to other venues as a scalper.
Yeah.
So there's all these scalpers out there now, and the person that gets hurt is the customer. Because a lot of customers, we had Big Head Todd and the Monsters at Granada Theater. It was, I think, their 40th, and it was an amazing show. But there were people that came out that hadn't bought tickets for years. And also what I try to do is I try to answer the Granada Theater phone because the people are calling are fans. They want to know. So they'll do it, and they go, why is this ticket $500? And it's like, stop, don't hit anything. It's not $500. What are you on? Tells me some scalper site. Here, come to granadatheater.com. So that has been really tough, and it will be interesting what happens with that, because that is really hurting the true customer on that.
Why would somebody go to a scalper site before you go to the venue site?
They don't know. They don't know. People do not live in that world. It's like it used to be, on the radio side. So Tim Rogers was the morning man on The Merge. Yeah. Tim Rogers, who writes for the magazines and was Mr.
Tim
Funny
Rogers,
Guy.
who has sat in that chair before.
So he was new to radio and wanted to try radio. And the one thing we had the discussion about, he said, hey, we'd pick up the phone and people would ask what who sang yesterday. How do they not know who sings yesterday? And I was telling them, that's not in their world. That they have these other things going on that we don't know. I mean, I don't know how to knit, but someone might call this request line, and why don't I know what a double knit thing is? It's because that's not in my world. So that was to tell them it's not in the world, and that's the same thing with people buying tickets. It's not their world. So when they go online and they see something that says Granada Theater, it was a perfect example was StubHub, which is one of your bigger ones. And if there's anyone that's okay, I think StubHub is okay.
Yeah.
But they have an AI or whatever they do that picks up. So we were having a Pink Floyd cover band, Bricks in the Wall.
Yeah.
And it was for an anniversary with Roger Waters and Pink Floyd. StubHub picked up and said it was Roger Waters going to be at Granada. It was Bricks in the Wall, but what they put up in their ad was Roger Waters. And I have to talk all these people down that, no, it's not Roger Waters. I wish it would be Roger Waters. And even at times, and maybe I shouldn't say it on here, but there was a couple of folks that I gave them their money back because I felt so bad for them that, they didn't know at all. So. Oh yeah. Well, there was a gentleman, and my guess would be he didn't go to many shows, but to see Roger Waters at Granada, he went to Woodrow in the 50s, Woodrow Wilson High School, and he spent $345. And that's one I gave money back because I just couldn't do that. So
that's nice of you.
Yeah.
But you're a nice guy.
I try to be. I try to be. Yeah. I'm well. Hopefully a fan and nice at the same time. That you could do both. Yeah, so.
Wow. That's a wild situation, but I always go to the website of the venue whenever I want to get tickets. Yeah. And I don't get them from anywhere else. I've never gotten anything from one of these other sites or anything like that. And if I can't get them from the venue, then I just don't go.
Yeah.
But I'm probably way in the minority there.
You know, yeah.
I just prefer a straight-on, one-to-one promoter buyer experience, and that's that.
Agree.
With no middlemen.
Yeah, granadatheater.com. But I love answering the phones there and talk to the fans. So there was a band called Nicotine Dolls that played there, and there was a woman coming in from Houston, and Nicotine Dolls. It's an indie band, and just fun. And this woman was in her 60s, and she just had questions. And she said, I don't go to many shows, but this means a lot, and I want to bring my family. Also, she made a friend in France. They went, her husband had passed away, and they took a trip to France. And they met a friend who also liked Nicotine Dolls in France. So they were going to get together to go to the show here at Granada Theater in Nicotine Dolls. The show was postponed because Nicotine Dolls had something happen and they waited. So the woman was a little frantic. I said, don't worry. We'll make sure that it's still the same. I'll make sure. Here's my cell phone. Here's my address. We'll make sure that it happens. All happened. I met them here. It was so sweet. She bought me a huge tub that was about 10,000 jelly beans and a big, those old gumball machines?
Yeah.
It was one to put jelly beans in. And it was amazing. It was like, I didn't expect anything for it, but it was like, wow, for her to do that just because, being nice it just blows me away. So
At least it wasn't ding dongs and ho hos and stuff like that.
And well, if she would have brought me jugs and Hustler and Penthouse, no, thank you, please, no, thank you,
No diarrhea.
no diarrhea. No. Do you remember? You remember the diarrhea story at the ticket and that?
I've been trying to find the drops for it.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know the whole story because I tried to stay out of it because I knew the person that was doing it. And again, this is another Dan Bennett that he said, you need to find out who's doing that. It's like, why is my job to find out who's taking a shit? Jesus.
Wait, what?
You don't know this?
I guess not.
Okay, you know the story about the poop in the toilet that just continued to show up in the toilets.
Nobody was flushing?
At the station?
Yes.
Oh.
You don't know this? You said you knew the story.
I thought I did. Maybe I was thinking of something else, I guess.
Okay.
Now,
So,
I remember there was a period where there was a problem with the toilets in there getting clogged up
Yes.
and staying clogged.
it's staying
That's
clogged.
this, right?
That's this. And each
Okay.
one was clogged. It wasn't just one. Someone would go back in. So it was a person. So Dan Bennett puts it upon me to find out who the crapper is. It was like, why do I get these shitty jobs?
Literally.
Literally.
Yeah. I didn't know who it was. So, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think we ever found out.
I
You
wasn't
didn't
going
out
to.
them or anything?
Oh no. I still won't. I'll go to my grave on this one. Yeah. No.
So you don't want to take the opportunity to do that here on Little YDC?
No, because I would want to tell the person first because I don't know. I just can't. I'm going to stop now before
You're too nice a guy.
Yeah,
You're
I
too
can't
nice
do
a
that.
guy,
But yeah,
Scotty.
but that was the whole thing. And my job was to
forgot
find
about
out who it was. And I did try to blame it on somebody.
You did?
Successfully?
No, it wasn't successful. No. And that person's no longer here. So, but I'll tell you who, because at first I really thought it was him, but it turned out not. It's like, I'll still use his name to get Dan Bennett off my back. Frito.
Oh, Frito?
Yeah, because Frito. Yeah, Frito. Because Frito one time did clog it, but he wasn't the clogger. He was just a cloggee one time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the great Mark Friedman, who was
Yeah.
Norm's producer back
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
Love Frito.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here. So, but
Miss
yeah.
Frito.
But it was not him. It was not him.
We cleared his name.
Yes, his name is clear
Yes.
completely.
This is Scott Strong. He is at the Granada, but he spent many radio days. And I spent my fair share of radio days right there with him in the building and everything. And we'll have more with him in just a second. But before we get there, it's time for the mid-show read. No sound of him?
You didn't build it up as much.
I didn't? I thought
No,
I
it's
did.
his.
You didn't say dreaded.
Yeah. So
All right, it's time for the dreaded mid-show read.
there we go.
What if I told you that you could free yourself of pain, anxiety, and sleepless nights? And what if you could do it naturally. Does that sound good or what? Let me tell you about the CBD House of Healing. That is a women-owned CBD boutique. They can help. They would like to help. They carry only products from their lab made to meet the highest quality and purity standards. Their owner, who is also an RN, emphasizes building trusted relationships through education, giving you the knowledge to care for yourself. That's their ultimate goal. Find your relief from the aches and pains, the emotional stress and drain, and sleep again. CBDDallas.com is their website. They're at 8550 Plano Road on the northeast quadrant of the Plano Road and Northwest Highway intersection. Begin your healing at the House of Healing. Now, I did mention a little while ago that I'm having some trouble with this myself, and the House of Healing has been instrumental in helping me at least get around it for a little while, and I cannot recommend the House of Healing enough. Do we continue here, or is that it?
Yes, and I accidentally went to the graphics. I thought you were moving on. I didn't know you were going to ad-lib there for a minute. You've got one more. Keep going.
The OG is back again next Thursday, the 10th of July. That is this Thursday, in fact, right?
Yes.
Shupi, Grego, and I together again. We will be talking sports and only sports in that way that we do, sharing our hardline positions on all the teams and athletes, players, coaches, ownership, the whole shot. Join us live on Patreon or in person at Birdie's East Side. That's at 6221 East Mockingbird Lane in Dallas between Skillman and Abrams on Mockingbird. So come see us there or get by the channel, and we will be talking, like I say, sports and nothing else. It's a very quick program, just 30 minutes, and we'll get to stuff and get out of stuff.
They're going to watch from home first. Booth on the left.
What?
They're going to watch from home. They got to be on the tier.
Oh, yeah, they got to subscribe to the first booth on the left.
All right. Yes, if you're going to watch at home, then subscribe to the first booth on the left. Is that right?
That's correct.
See
But if
how
you
little
show
about
up,
this
you could
thing
be
that I
like-
know.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I would really like it if you'd show up. That'd be great.
But if you show up, you could be like Scott Strong and wind up on the show later on.
That's right. You
That's how we
could.
got talking to him. We're like, why haven't we had him on?
That's right. You could. All right. So, what's the best show you've ever seen?
Wow, that's a great question. Okay, one that I have to put in there is Frank Sinatra. I was lucky enough to see Frank Sinatra, and I was lucky enough to take my mom and dad. And to experience that with my mom and dad meant everything. And Frank was one of the few artists that completely owned the stage. Just amazing that he was there, and it was almost like he was the only person in the room. And it was unbelievable. And I know his voice wasn't as good, but boy, I haven't seen anyone before then or since then that just commanded the stage like that.
What year was this?
I block out ages. Seriously, I really do. It had to be a couple years before he died.
Yeah.
So, what, 30, 40 years ago? Like I said, I block out everything. I couldn't even tell you right now how old I am. That I just block it out because I just want to be a kid.
My Frank Sinatra story is kind of unusual, too, because he was coming through here. He was going to play Reunion Arena. And I had thought not one thing about it. This was at a time when I was kind of too cool for that old guy shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I was not interested, but one day I'm walking through the office at the zoo, and one of the girls says, "You want to go see Frank Sinatra?" And I thought, well, no, not really. And she said, "Well, I've got these tickets here, and if you don't take them, they're going to go to waste," which is the same thing that my sainted mother told me when the Beatles rolled through here.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
And I had a flashback to that and what had happened, because I turned down the Beatles tickets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was in the 8th grade, and going to the Kimball High School football game that night was more important to me. Why? I don't know. It's not like I was going to hook up with a girl or anything, because I was entirely too dorky for anything like that. But I think that's pretty much what I was hanging my hat on. I had this flashback about how sorry I was that I didn't go see the Beatles. And now, here are 2 Frank Sinatra tickets just being given to me. So I said, all right, let me have them. I'll go. And I did. And Frank was playing in the Round at Reunion Arena. And I wound up sitting about 15 feet from him.
Wow.
The best move I ever made. And it was fantastic. It completely made me rethink him,
Yep.
made me rethink that whole milieu of music, that whole genre, that whole time, that whole period. And it was one of the most memorable concert experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, amazing. It's a lot of concerts you can put them in a category like it was great, but it's like this. There was nothing I could compare it to Frank Sinatra at all.
No, there's really not.
Yeah. Can I give you 2 more?
Yeah, give me 2 more.
Okay.
You can give me 5 more. We can stay here all day.
make it-
Give me 20 more.
So a few months ago, for my wife's Christmas gift, I got her tickets to see the Grateful Dead at the Sphere. She's a huge Deadhead. I respect the Dead, but fan or not fan, didn't matter.
No, I did not know that about her.
Oh, she's a Deadhead. Oh, yeah.
I would not have imagined her as one, but anyway.
But she is. So we went to the show and went for her and said, okay, it'll be an experience. And, we don't go to Vegas that often. The Sphere, other than Red Rocks, the Sphere is the most amazing venue I've ever been in. And the Dead show made me still today listen to Dead songs because of the experience of everything that happened at that live show. And that's what a live show should do. I mean, it was unbelievable. I won't give it away that if you go to see the show, but because of sight and sound, first of all, you don't see any speakers, but the sound is unbelievable. And there are times with what's happening visually that you have to almost just stand there and just tighten up because you think you're going to fall over because you're either in a tornado or if you're falling through a hole. I can't even tell you what it was like. All I'll say, if you have a chance to go to the Sphere, even if it's a band you don't like, go. It's incredible.
I was going to say, Shuby's got to go see the Eagles in a month or 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
November. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's just, I'd love to hear the story because then when you talk about Sphere where folks have been there, there's those stories. It's almost like you lived through something together, which was incredible and was cool to me to really understand the Deadheads. So I bought GA tickets, which are on the floor, so that we could get as close to the stage, not knowing. And there was a raffle before the show that you put in online, and so I put in the raffle, and we won the raffle, so you can wait in line. So doing concerts for years and years, I usually know how this goes. You go, you get a wristband, you have a number, but everybody cuts in line. And so it's just sort of you're pushing. So I was ready for all that. These fans, these Deadheads, when somebody would get their wristband, what number are you? I'm number 23. You're up here. Come on up. And everybody would get out of the way to let them come up. Nobody cut in line. Everybody made sure that if you had a number, that you were in your number spot. That never happens at the show. I was at the Guns N' Roses show where there was the riot that happened. So many other ones. It was unbelievable. So the whole experience.
Is that just a Grateful Dead protocol thing, or
I don't.
How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know, but it was such an unbelievable experience, and I will never be a Deadhead, I don't think, but I'm glad to be part of the group with my wife.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So the third show, and I wasn't going to say this, but you said something, and it's unique that all this is happening today. So it's July 7th, and this is my brother's birthday. And in my family, we had cystic fibrosis, so had brothers that died of cystic fibrosis, and this was his birthday today. He would have been, I believe, 61, and he died early 20s, and he was a huge Beach Boys fan. So through the radio station, a person helped me get tickets, and it was front row center to see the Beach Boys. And we were at the Beach Boys, and if you go to concerts, there's no seats in the front row open. Everybody uses the seats. But for whatever reason that night, there was one open seat. So my other brother, who had CF, came up and sat with us. So it was the three of us. And the Beach Boys were playing, and I'm not lying that when I looked over and I saw the joy in his eyes, I still see that. And that show will always be top. Not so much because the Beach Boys played great, but it's one of those musical memories that we all have that just mean so much. And it was just, today being July 7th, was thinking about it. So those are the big three.
Did the death of Brian Wilson hit you in your feels?
Yeah, it really did.
Boy, it did me too.
Yeah, it really did. It's one of those weird things. I don't know if you had it. You knew he wasn't well. You knew that he didn't have much time, but when it happened, it still just hurt.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I mean, I was into the Beach Boys, or I was aware of the Beach Boys before the Beatles came out.
Yeah.
You know? And, back then it was Beatles, Beach Boys, who's better, all that stuff in the early days of the Beatles. But before them, there were the Beach Boys, and I was more acutely aware of the Beach Boys before I was the Beatles. And over the years, I came to appreciate the artistry, the craft, the creativity of the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson. And I watched one of the documentaries, and there are a lot of documentaries out there on the Beach Boys, but I watched one the other night and posted about him, his life, his career, and everything like that.
Right.
And man, it just made it rain down on me how much all their music and everything that they were back then meant to me. And it's going to leave a huge void in my musical landscape now.
Completely. It's interesting you talk about that. So when I was younger and when I lived in St. Louis, my mom would get a newspaper article about, Brian Wilson or whoever, and she'd rip it out and save it for me when I'd come over. Now, because there's no newspapers, she texts me these articles from all over.
Yeah.
And there was one when Brian passed away, there was a story that they reissued where Paul McCartney listed that in the top 3, Pet Sounds was one of the top 3 albums. I went back and listened to it because I hadn't listened to it for a while.
I did too.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I mean, it easily will be in my top 10 albums of all time.
Yeah, especially when you put the picture in the frame, and consider the fact that they were doing this at way back in the very, very early 60s.
Right.
Yeah. And this was a album that all my high school friends and junior high friends and stuff were into. But it was just, I thought it was just an album they liked to make out with their girlfriends too, and everything, which by the way was totally out of the question for me. I didn't have a girlfriend, couldn't get one, and making out with girls was just completely out of the question. So,
but look at you now.
So, yeah, look at me now.
Still out of the question.
Oh yeah, it's still out of the question. More now than then, but you know what? Now I don't care. Then I did. But for a long time, I kind of held that against the Beach Boys. That they typified everything that people who were cool related to. They were cool. And people who liked the Beach Boys were cool. But I was not cool. And I was kind of conflicted because I liked their music, but I didn't like the fact that they were cool, and I wasn't. So I had a hard time squaring all that up, but eventually I put all that aside and dove hard into their music. And man, now I see fully why they were what they were.
Yeah. Did you ever, like, when you started dating girls, you'd put the Beach Boys on in the background to...
Kind of like a Pavlov's dog type of thing?
Yeah.
No, because when I started dating girls, there were things that were cooler by then.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you got to consider the fact, but when I started dating girls, I was like 31.
Oh, okay. So Summer of '69 was playing by Bryan Adams? Yeah.
And shortly after Jordan was born.
Well, I was always a Beatles fan, Beach Boys for my brother, but the Beatles fan. And so working in radio in St. Louis, it was when morning shows would take trips and do live broadcasts. And it was from Abbey Road Studios. So my job was to set it up beforehand. And there was a person that was the promotion director at the studios, and I was the marketing director at the radio station. So we started communication, what we're going to do. And she was talking about some things at the time that they weren't getting over in London. And I said, I'll send them to you. She said, you will? It will cost that. And I said, I don't mind, So I sent her, it was like, I know she wanted Frosted Flakes because they couldn't get the original Frosted Flakes and things like that. There was some candy. So I sent them to her and she said,
that was ding dongs.
That was so, no, I was not, I don't, there's things I don't touch anymore. Cheetos, ding dongs, zingers, and Doritos. And I don't have to say this, but I do not touch Jugs, meaning the magazine, Hustler.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I wanted it, yeah. So I sent it to her and she was so appreciative. She goes, I think I can get a special guest for you on the show. And so it's like, anything you can do would be great. So she wasn't sure and she didn't tell me who it was because she didn't want it to be disappointing. But that morning I went in early, a couple hours before the air staff came on. I went over and it turned out that she had gotten, and sitting over in the corner was Cynthia Lennon.
Wow.
And what even made it more amazing, I was blown away. And what made it more amazing, that she had not been in Abbey Road since the breakup. That was her first time back since the breakup in that studio. Wow. And to me, it's still one of the greatest radio experiences of all time because you could feel the passion, the anger, the joy, the anxiety. You could feel it all with her. And I wish the guys, I tried to keep it so the air staff didn't know she was there to the last moment, but I couldn't. So I think some of the passion left. So I have to go back and listen to the interview. It's one of those where you can't go online and get the interview. Yeah. But I have somebody, I was in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago and they're going to look for it because I want to hear if it's the same thing. But to me, that was that was a radio experience like no other for me.
What was interviewing her like? Was she talkative or?
She would start talking, but then like pause, like to not break it up or not break it, and then she would go. She kept the interview very simple. Didn't go deep into things, but was very cordial. I think it was as much therapy for her. That okay, here are these guys from St. Louis. They're not going to push her. If a London air staff did it, they might push her and have different things, and she felt safe. And I think the promotion person I was dealing with knew that if it got issued, she could come over to me and say, "Hey, we can't ask those questions." So we stayed away from it. But just to be in the room with her, being a Beatles fan, was amazing. But then I have a bad Beatles story if you want to hear it.
Let's hear it.
So Paul McCartney, huge fan, genius. He had a world tour, and we were promoting it. And my job was to get winners, and the prize was to get your picture with Paul McCartney. Okay.
Now, where is this at?
This would have been Houston Stadium, whatever it was called then. It was the stadium in Houston.
All right. Were you working at the time?
I was working as a promoter. I was a promoter company. Okay. And so it was a picture with Paul McCartney. So we go and wait a couple hours, and the winners come, and there's 3 winners, and they get their picture with Paul McCartney. Here's something that the tour didn't tell us. You got your picture with Paul McCartney, but you couldn't keep the picture with Paul McCartney. Yes. And I don't think Paul knew, so this is not. What? But yeah, you got your picture, but yeah, no, made no sense whatsoever. So
what happened to it?
They just tossed it. It was never meant to give to the winners. So
that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make sense at all. So
I can't believe they didn't get sued or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could have went and sued him, but no, I didn't. No, I had other things to worry about. But yeah, but that's the only one like that. I mean, usually, you know, and I was lucky enough to have winners and prizes from anywhere from David Cassidy to R. Kelly. So, you know, just all different kinds completely. And I don't want to end up on any R. Kelly documentary, so I'm not telling any story at all. So,
what's your favorite gig you've ever had?
Susquehanna Radio, The Bone.
In addition to being the best, that's also your favorite?
It's also my favorite because the people there, the folks in this room included, I mean, I guess I can say this on here. When I see you at the show, and Michelle and I see you, we both turn to each other and say, we've been one of the luckiest things in Dallas that we met Mike Rhyner and Groobs and Psycho Dave and Jub. You know, I mean, it really was. I mean, that whole group, there'll never be, in my estimation, a group like that in radio ever again. And when and for people that didn't work in radio, usually radio stations are very separate. Completely. And people don't talk to one another. When I would walk into the radio station, just you guys, I was always looking forward to talking to everyone in there. I always had wonderful conversation, except for Dan Bennett, who would ask me if I knew who fucking clogged up the toilets. But everybody else, it was so special. And I know how lucky I was to be part of that completely. So. That's me.
I know how lucky I was to be part of it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never ask for a better time doing anything than what I had there. It was the best work time of my life, the best, personal time, just the best in every way.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take anything for it, you know?
No.
And I had some ups and downs while I was there, but still, the good and the cool and the fun and the excellence and the excitement of it, and the fact that what we were doing was really, really good outweighs anything else that might have gone along with it.
Yeah. Well, and there's a couple things with the station that I was so pleased and so proud of. So when The Bone was coming on, and I don't know if you guys know this, when The Bone was coming on, it was going to be Bo and Jim in the morning. And Jim was also doing traffic.
Yeah.
There was a place in the contract that Jim had a clause that he couldn't go work at another radio station for X amount of time in his traffic contract. So they got him. They got him completely.
Yeah.
So we had to make some moves. Randy James went on the air. Mm-hmm. But I was able to bring from upstairs at the talk station Donovan Lewis and brought him on The Bone. And that's still such a joy of mine that when I turn on the ticket and hear Donovan, that just what Donovan is today.
His entree was to something other than upstairs.
Yes,
was at The Bone.
It was like I want to bring him on The Bone. I would go up in the morning and just say hi to him. He would run the board, and we would talk about newspaper routes, because I had a newspaper route as a kid, and he had a newspaper route. Now, most of the people listening today, newspaper route, what's that? But you'd wake up early and you would toss the papers out on the lawn, and we would talk about it. And I saw what Donovan had. Another one is we had a character by the name of Spicoli.
Yes.
And his name was Spicoli because if you've seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, or if you haven't seen it, watch it. The character Spicoli is Spicoli. And Spicoli, we put him on in the morning with Humble Billy Hayes and Donovan. And Spicoli was a character. And I couldn't have written a character like that. So the audience loved him because he was so real. Now, I'm going to go to the end of the story, which is so weird. I was working at Granada, and I go to a show one night, and Spicoli works at Granada now. So Spicoli and I
really?
were. Oh yes.
Oh, really?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, and you don't know the joy that I had with Spicoli. Now I will say, and I don't think I'm doing anything out of school, but Spicoli has cleaned up and is wonderful. Married, wonderful young man.
Got himself all squared away.
All squared away. Back in the day, I didn't want him squared away. So, I did. But here's what happened. So there was a ballpark, a minor league ballpark in Fort Worth. I don't remember who played there, but there was a minor league ballpark, not there anymore.
LaGrave Field?
Yes,
Yeah,
LaGrave
Fort
Field.
Worth Cats?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Survivor was big at the time, the show Survivor. So we did Survivor with winners. Who could survive in the locker room of that field? And they had to stay in there with Spicoli. Okay? So they were in there, and it was about 4:30 in the morning, and I got a call, and they said, you got to get to the field right away. I said, why? What's wrong? They go, Spicoli. I go, what did Spicoli do? They said, Spicoli is in front of all the contestants. He's in a chair, passed out, completely naked. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Luckily, the contestants all understood. Luckily, we got Spicoli clothes on right away. But I've never had it like that. And Spicoli, we did Harry Potter was coming out, the book. So we had a studio next to the Bone Studio that they would do live broadcasts from.
Yeah.
And so we set up what looked like a bed, and I had some old posters like Charlene Tilton and some rock posters that we put up in there to make it look like Spicoli's bedroom. Okay? So the book came out, I think, at like 6:30 a.m., and this is when we were experimenting with Rob Chickering, who was the engineer.
Yes.
Their great engineer. And he was doing some video that we were going to run of Spicoli waking up and reading, being the first person to read over the airwaves the Harry Potter new book. So he's in the bed, he gets up. I should have asked this question. My fault completely. He didn't know how to read.
Oh, no.
He could not read that well. So it was about 15 minutes, and we didn't get through the first page. We just said, like in a dad's voice, Spicoli, get back to bed. He laid back down. We cut it all off. So
Wow. So that was an on-the-fly exit ramp that you made
very
up
much so. Very much
Wow.
so. So that's what I loved about the Bone.
genius.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something. So yeah, so love all those guys. So yeah, that's why I love Susquehanna, and there'll never be another radio company like that again that we could do creative stuff like that.
There
do you
certainly will not.
Do you remember the salespeople freaked out? I don't know if you guys saw it, but when we were the Bone, I put on a biker on the Sunday nights, and he was in all biker gear. His name was Stripe, and he one time for all the corporate guys came in, and I had Stripe and all his biker buddies come up to the studio, and they were all in garb. And I was thinking to myself, this would never go with any Cumulus. This would never happen. Name all of them. That they enjoyed every moment with these 10 bikers talking about, rock and roll, completely. So it was cool. It was really cool.
Do you remember that, Shoopy?
I vaguely remember Stripe.
I remember Stripe.
Okay,
Yeah, you remember Stripe? Yeah, great. I don't. Yeah, he was, because we had Stripe, and I apologize, I don't know the name, but we also had a wrestling show on in the evening. Chris was his name. I don't remember his last name, but he was a huge wrestling fan, and he would have wrestlers come up. So on a Sunday night, you could see a Von Erich up there, or you could see. So it was like, yeah. So it was my dream,
Wow. What a time.
We have a wrestling show.
Who's your favorite wrestler right now?
Oh, I don't have a favorite wrestler. We just have a wrestling show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, our show, The Clubhouse.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, they do a lot of wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
Wrestling movies.
Yeah.
Fun. That's huge. That's fun.
What's the worst concert you've ever seen?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I don't know about the worst because I always get something out of them because I'm also checking the audience. But the one I was most disappointed in
What's that?
was Frank Zappa.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. I just expected it to be a show because he was such a personality, and that it was kind of boring. Now I'm so glad that I got to see him, but I was disappointed. Yeah. And you know what? As long as we're, just the, 4 or 5 of us talking, I was a little disappointed on Saturday with Bob Dylan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a little bit. The rest of the show was great. Bob, and this is me, maybe as a marketer, but he has all this new audience because of the movie. Play a couple hits that were in the movie for the kids, for the young people. So that's why I a little disappointed in that.
Yeah,
so.
I hate to say this, but I've never really liked him when I've seen him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. A lot of the time he doesn't play anything that and it's almost like he treats that stuff with disdain now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And I don't have a lot of regard for guys that, if you don't want to play the hits, that's one thing. And that's your prerogative. And if there's other stuff you've got that I know and you leave a hit or two out, I'm fine with it. I can live with it. But if you're up there showing disdain for what you've done, disdain for the very stuff that have brought those people in there to see you,
right?
That's really, really bad form for me.
Yeah.
And Bob Dylan seems to do that. The other thing is, a lot of the time, you can't understand a word he says.
No.
He mumbles when he talks. On the rare occasions that he talks, he mumbles. And when he's singing, such as that is, he's just jamming the words together so quick that even if you know them, you can't really make them out.
Yeah.
And I used to be in a band that did nothing but Bob Dylan stuff, so I know those words.
Right.
And it's just always been very, very disappointing for me, and I don't think I'll take that chance again.
Yeah. Now the rest of the show was great. Yes, Willie was Willie. Now, I've been lucky to see Willie for many, many years, and this was, of course, he's in his 90s, but yes, and you truly get a feel that he cares about his audience, which is so wonderful. So a couple other artists that I've seen that if people get a chance, they might want to check out that are a little bit maybe not right in the mainstream. Chris Isaak is amazing live. Saw him at Hard Rock. At House of Blues. Just unbelievable. And then they don't have concerts anymore, but the Lakewood Theater used to have concerts there.
Yeah.
And Five for Fighting was there, if you know Five for Fighting. Five for Fighting had a song, Superman, and was just unbelievable. No, Five for Fighting is coming back, which is the reason I mentioned it, that if anybody, listens to the music, it's unbelievable. Not at the Granada. It's I think at Majestic, but need to check. I don't know. I love it.
Oh yeah, they got another song.
Yes. Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think I've heard this, but I remember another song by them.
And a couple that go into the category is we did with the Bone. We did rock shows at Billy Bob's. And Billy Bob's is the perfect rock and roll place. And Cheap Trick played there. And so I've seen Cheap Trick, I think 101 times. And so amazing. Yes, my Cheap Trick shirt. I had to wear that today. So it was that. And, but I'm also into going to see comedy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so I'm going to age myself on this one. But the greatest I've ever saw were the Smothers Brothers. Okay, if you know the Smothers Brothers. George Wallace just played here a few weeks ago. Now, it's not George Wallace, the politician. It's George Wallace, the comedian, was there. And then Tom Green just played Granada Theater a couple months ago. Tom Green from MTV, which some people give credit that he was the original Jackass on what he did. So I took Tom Green to the Ticket because the Ticket guys in Gordon Keith, a fan of Tom Green. So I go, hey, you guys want him on? They go, oh, we'd love him. So I picked up Tom Green. One thing Tom Green didn't tell me was that he had a huge dog that he keeps with him. And I'm afraid of dogs. But I didn't want Tom Green to know that I was afraid of dogs. But when I was driving and the dog put his head on my shoulder, I was creeped out so much, all that. But I kept saying to myself, it's Tom Green. I'll do this, Tom Green. So it didn't matter because we started talking about Andy Kaufman, who I think is one of the most comedic geniuses ever. And Tom Green wanted to know more about Andy Kaufman, meaning from another fan.
Right.
So we talked about 20 minutes about Andy Kaufman that to me was a conversation with a celebrity that's up there in the top 10. The other one was with Bob Denver. Bob Denver was Gilligan.
Yes.
And he came and did an event with us. So this was back in the day. So
Also, for my guys, he was Maynard G. Krebs on Dobie Gillis,
yes,
too.
Yes. And so this is when we had landlines at the house. So I lived in St. Louis with my brother, and we were setting up, and Bob Denver, I'm sorry. Bob Dylan did not call my house. Did not. Bob Denver called my house.
It's a good thing you couldn't have understood anything he said.
Oh, this must be Bob Dylan. So Bob Denver was about 10:30 at night, and Bob either had a few drinks or some other things. He goes, Scott, you know what? I go, no, Mr. Denver, what? He goes, my life is a living hell.
Oh.
And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Denver, why is that? And he goes, anywhere I go, hey, Gilligan, hey, where's the skipper? And it was like, I don't know why Bob Denver's telling me this, but I'll stay on the phone because it's Bob Denver. I grew up in Gilligan's Island. For after 20 minutes, I hung up. My brother goes, who is that? And I go, it was Bob Denver. He goes, Gilligan called you? And I said, yeah. He goes, what the hell?
What kind of life are you leading?
Yeah. So yeah, it was something. So Bob Denver came to a mall. We would do the Salvation Army Food and Cash Salvation Bash to raise money for Salvation Army. It was a morning guy by the name of J.C. Corcoran that brought it on. That you'd have a celebrity in the evening. Then you'd have a musical guest. Like Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon would come in and do acoustic in the mall. And then we had the Brain Damage Media Dorks, which were media folks that would play in the band. And like the newscaster would, play a song. And then, they would do things like that. And so it was really cool to me because you'd get a celebrity like Cindy Brady was there one year. Kreskin, if anyone remembers Kreskin, he was the guy that said he knew everything. That one of his shticks was that you hid his check and he could mentally find it, and that was one of the sticks at the show. No, so I have guesses how he did it, but I'm not sure. But here's what he did. So he was a mentalist. So I went to pick him up, and I had a small little CRX Honda. So it was a 2-seater. I did not know he had a manager. And the manager was about 260 pounds. So there was no way that he could fit in the little hatch. So we kind of looked at each other, and I said to Kreskin, being the mentalist, I'm going, didn't you see what kind of car I was coming and bringing here? He goes, I was busy. What are we going to do? So I let Kreskin drive my car. The other guy sat here, and I got back in the hatch and just hung back there. So.
That's taking one for the team there.
Yeah, it was. It was, but it was Kreskin. And I remember when my dad watching Kreskin on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. So again, I know how lucky I am to be part of this. Even if I'm scrunched up in a hatch, it was still really cool. So.
Well, things like that happen to good guys.
Well, thank you.
You're a good guy.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming in here and joining us on this little venture of ours today.
It was like I was talking to Groobs. It was an honor. I mean, to be invited, it was like Christmas and New Year's and my birthday, and my son coming home, and it was like everything. So thank you very much.
Well, man, it's good to see you.
Same here.
Really good to see you. This is Scott Strong of the radio days of the Granada. We could go on and on here.
What a life.
What a life indeed. But we want to thank you for being by the channel today on this episode number 131 of Your Dark Companion. Wow, that's a lot.
It's way too many, really.
That is way too many. But you need to keep this one. You need to bookmark this one and watch it over and over again because this has been a good one. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Shoopy Ashley Beckham, all of you out there. Until next time, bye.